Do you ever feel like nothing you do is ever quite enough? You
Hmm.
know, like you're trapped in this relentless, almost exhausting pursuit of some elusive, flawless ideal.
Yeah, that constant striving.
Exactly. You keep striving, pushing, maybe you're achieving incredible things, hitting amazing milestones, but still that feeling of not really measuring up just it persists.
Never quite goes away.
It doesn't. It's the cycle that, honestly, for so many of us, it often leads to this deep-seated stress or, pervasive anxiety, maybe even crushing disappointment, no matter how much we accomplish, right? No matter how many awards we get.
Right. The external success doesn't fix the internal feeling.
Precisely. So if that inner monologue, that feeling of constant pressure, if that resonates with you even just a little bit, then you are absolutely not alone.
Far from it.
Today, we're taking a really insightful deep dive into the pressure to be perfect, overcoming anxiety and finding true freedom.
A really important topic.
It really is. And for this conversation, we've brought together a really rich tapestry of understanding. We've woven in the deeply personal, often quite raw experiences from registered dietitians who've grappled with these exact pressures in their own lives, in their careers.
Real lived experience.
Absolutely. We've synthesized extensive psychological research, looked at robust frameworks that meticulously break down the nuances of perfectionism.
Yeah, the academic side of things.
Exactly. We've integrated expert perspectives on mental health from leading practitioners, and we've even tapped into the honest, unfiltered discussions from online communities, people grappling with these very issues, which just reveals how universal this struggle really is.
It really connects the dots, doesn't it? From personal stories to research to, what people are actually talking about online.
It does. So our mission today, it's crystal clear.
Yeah.
We want to unpack what perfectionism truly is, how it might be silently burdening you, its profound, often unseen impact on your mental well-being. And maybe most importantly, to equip you with concrete, actionable strategies, things you can actually use to find genuine relief and true liberating freedom from its relentless, often suffocating grip.
Sounds like a plan. Where do we start?
Okay, so let's unpack this right from the beginning. From the earliest age, really, most of us are taught, either explicitly or implicitly, strive for excellence, reach for high standards.
Definitely. School, sports.
Right. Even just being told to keep our rooms tidy. On the surface, that sounds like an inherently good thing, doesn't it? A clear path to success, to becoming your best self.
It seems logical. Aim high.
So where exactly does this healthy ambition, this drive for excellence, where does it diverge from something more insidious, something we call perfectionism? What's that critical pivot point? Where does it go wrong?
That's a really profound question, and understanding that distinction is where the insidious nature of perfectionism really starts to reveal itself. You see, while high standards can absolutely be a positive, even, an exhilarating motivator, they push individuals to truly reach their peak level of performance. Think of like an Olympic athlete, for example. They're training relentlessly, constantly aiming to shave milliseconds off their time or perfect their technique.
Right, that healthy striving.
Exactly. Their goal is excellence, and that drive can be incredibly healthy. It fuels growth, achievement. Perfectionism, however, is fundamentally different. It involves this tendency to set standards so astronomically high that they are either genuinely impossible to meet in reality,
Okay.
or they can only be achieved with immense, almost unbearable difficulty and at a significant personal cost. It's not just about wanting to do well. It's about demanding an unattainable, flawless outcome.
Unattainable. Okay.
Yeah. And the core belief that truly fuels perfectionism is this paralyzing idea that anything, absolutely anything, that falls short of perfection is catastrophic.
Catastrophic, even small things.
Yes, it's a binary worldview. Either it's flawless or it's a complete and utter disaster. No in between. Even the most minor imperfections, tiny deviations from the ideal, are viewed as disastrous failures, not opportunities for learning or signs of being human.
Wow.
It's not about pushing yourself to improve. It's about the intense, often irrational, and profoundly punitive reaction to anything less than what you perceive as flawless. The external standard might be high, but that internal judgment is just brutal.
And that's exactly where the psychological trap snaps shut, isn't it? It's this deep-seated belief that you should never make mistakes.
Never.
That errors are simply unacceptable, a personal failing. And if you do make one, even the tiniest misstep, it means you are fundamentally, irredeemably a failure. Or, even more terrifyingly, a horrible person for disappointing yourself, or maybe even more acutely for disappointing others.
That fear of letting others down is huge.
I can almost feel the weight of that. This mindset, as you can well imagine, leads to intense, relentless self-criticism, a constant internal haranguing that becomes your own worst enemy.
Absolutely. And to illustrate just how profoundly debilitating this can be, how self-sabotaging, let's consider the powerful personal anecdote from Sarah Glinsky, a clinical dietitian who openly shared her own deeply personal battle with this very issue. She described an overwhelming, almost suffocating fear she used to carry into her appointments. And it wasn't about, major medical errors. It was a fear that she wouldn't use up every single allotted minute of an appointment time with a patient.
Just the time.
Just the time. Or that she might accidentally give them information that wasn't precisely, absolutely perfect or complete. Now think about that for a moment. In a complex, demanding role like hers, these are incredibly minor, almost inevitable mistakes.
Right. Nobody's perfect. Interactions aren't scripted.
Exactly. No one is perfect, and every interaction has some degree of imperfection. But when those two things, these small perceived imperfections or failures, inevitably happened, she described going into such a deep shame spiral that she couldn't function for the rest of the day. Imagine that internal voice just screaming at her, "You wasted their time. You're incompetent. How could you forget that detail? You're a fraud."
Oh, that's intense.
Her perfectionism, ironically, literally made her worse at her job.
Yeah.
She became so consumed by the fear of imperfection and the shame of perceived mistakes that it crippled her ability to perform effectively, leading to profound anxiety.
Wow. So the thing she was trying to achieve, perfection, actually made her less effective.
Exactly. The burden became so immense that she ended up needing to take time off due to the sheer incapacitating weight of anxiety triggered by these incidents. This wasn't just about feeling a bit disappointed. It was a profound, incapacitating emotional and physical response that hijacked her life and career.
Yeah.
And I think many of you listening can probably connect with that feeling in your own work or personal lives. That moment where the pressure to be perfect actually makes you self-sabotage.
Right. Preventing you from starting.
Or worse, making you unable to continue.
Yeah.
It's a cruel paradox.
That story is incredibly vivid and really underscores just how deeply ingrained and destructive this pattern can become. It makes me wonder, though, how do you really know if this is your battle, It's not always as obvious as a sudden crisis, is it?
No, definitely not.
Sometimes it just feels like having high standards until, like you said, it slowly starts to unravel you from the inside out. What are the subtle whispers, the telltale signs that perfectionism is indeed taking root in your life?
You're absolutely right. It's often the subtle creep, isn't it? An insidious whisper that kind of normalizes itself into your daily routine rather than a sudden, dramatic revelation. But there are key diagnostic questions drawn from reputable resources like Anxiety Canada and validated by personal accounts like Sarah Glinsky's that can serve as powerful tools for active self-reflection. These questions can help you honestly identify if perfectionism is indeed affecting you. So maybe ask yourself, truthfully.
Okay.
First, do you often find yourself having trouble consistently meeting your own incredibly high standards? And notice the word consistently. Because the perfectionistic ideal is often about constant, unwavering flawlessness, which is just unattainable for any human.
Right.
Second, when you are striving to meet those standards, or perhaps more painfully, when you perceive you've fallen short, do you frequently feel a cascade of negative emotions? Like, do you experience chronic frustration, a deep sense of depression, pervasive anxiety, or even sudden outbursts of anger directed at yourself or the situation?
That emotional fallout.
Exactly. Third, and this is a crucial external indicator, have others in your life, your closest friends, your family members, your colleagues, maybe even your mentors, ever gently, or perhaps not so gently, express that your standards seem excessively high, maybe even rigid or unrealistic.
That outside perspective.
Sometimes those closest to us see patterns before we do. And finally, perhaps most tellingly, and this is where it really hits home, do your high standards disrupt or actively interfere with critical, fundamental areas of your life?
Like what specifically?
Well, we're talking about your work performance, your academic pursuits, the quality of your relationships, or even just your overall enjoyment of daily life.
Okay.
Let's get really specific with those disruptions, because this is where the theoretical becomes deeply personal. This interference could manifest as struggling to meet deadlines because you simply can't bring yourself to submit anything until it's absolutely perfect, endlessly tweaking.
Yeah, I could see that.
Or Ironically, it could be the sheer difficulty of finishing tasks altogether, because the perfect becomes the debilitating enemy of the done.
Right, paralysis.
Exactly. You might find yourself unable to delegate or trust others with responsibilities because in your mind, no one else can do it exactly right to your exacting specifications.
Oh, yeah, that control element.
Or perhaps you've noticed a pervasive reluctance to do anything spontaneously, to just go with the flow because it can't be perfectly planned, meticulously organized, and flawlessly executed.
Everything has to be just so.
Just so, if you find yourself nodding yes to any of these questions, even just one, it serves as a strong, clear indicator that you may indeed be struggling with the often invisible burden of perfectionism. It's really a call to honest self-assessment.
That's a truly insightful framework for self-reflection. And here's where it gets really interesting, maybe even a bit unsettling for some of us listening. Perfectionism isn't just about what you do, right? Or how you perform or the tasks you complete. It's far more pervasive.
Mm-hmm.
It infiltrates the very fabric of how you feel and, maybe even more profoundly, how you think. It's not merely a behavior, it's like a comprehensive takeover, touching every part of your internal world, coloring your perceptions, shaping your emotions. So what does this internal infiltration actually look like?
You've perfectly captured the essence of it. It's a total internal landscape shift.
Yeah.
The feelings commonly associated with perfectionism are often chronic and debilitating, creating this persistent undercurrent of distress. We see deep, pervasive depression, a chronic sense of frustration that just won't lift.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. Intense, gnawing anxiety that feels like it's always just beneath the surface, and even sudden, often explosive, outbursts of anger. And these feelings don't just appear randomly, they surge, especially when individuals relentlessly criticize themselves for not meeting those impossible standards, even after pouring in significant effort, blood, sweat, and tears.
Right.
It's a continuous punishing loop of self-judgment, leaving you emotionally exhausted.
And the thinking patterns. How does it mess with our thoughts?
The thinking patterns. These are particularly insidious because they often profoundly distort reality. One of the most prevalent is black and white thinking.
All or nothing.
Exactly. This is where you see the world and yourself in absolute terms, no middle ground. You might tell yourself anything less than perfection is an utter, undeniable failure. There's no good enough, no progress, just success or abysmal failure.
Wow.
Or, if I need help from others, it undeniably means I am weak or fundamentally incapable, completely negating any collaborative spirit or just the basic human need for support. It's a rigid, unyielding mental framework.
That sounds incredibly limiting.
It is. And closely linked to this, often escalating the emotional impact, is catastrophic thinking.
Okay, what's that?
Here, your mind leaps to the absolute worst possible outcome for any perceived mistake or imperfection, blowing it completely out of proportion. You might hear thoughts like, if I make even a minor mistake in front of my coworkers during this presentation, I won't be able to survive the humiliation. My career will be over.
Just from one mistake.
Just from one perceived mistake. Or, I simply cannot handle having someone be upset with me. It would be devastating, proof that I'm unlovable. The perceived negative outcome isn't just bad, it's utterly ruinous in your mind.
Okay, that's extreme.
Then we frequently observe probability overestimation. This is where perfectionists consistently and frankly irrationally overestimate the likelihood of negative outcomes occurring, even when evidence suggests otherwise.
So expecting the worst, basically.
Exactly. For instance, you might think, although I spent all night preparing for this presentation, meticulously crafting every slide, I know with absolute certainty that I won't do well. I'll stumble, and it'll be a disaster.
Even after all that prep.
Even then. Or, my boss will definitely think I am lazy if I take a couple of sick days, even if I'm genuinely unwell and have a doctor's note.
Oh.
You convince yourself the worst is not only possible, but highly probable, despite all logical indicators.
Man, that's a heavy way to live.
It really is. And finally, there's the relentless prevalence of should statements. These are the rigid, inflexible, self-imposed rules that perfectionists live by, demands that are often impossible for any human to consistently meet.
Like what kind of shoulds?
Phrases like, I should never make mistakes, ever, or I should never come across as nervous or anxious no matter the situation, always appear composed, or even, I should always be able to predict problems before they occur, anticipating every single obstacle.
Wow, like having a crystal ball.
Pretty much. These shoulds create an internal prison, a constant feeling of inadequacy because you can never quite measure up to these unrealistic self-imposed demands.
And these thoughts, these deeply ingrained, often distorted thinking patterns, they don't just stay in our heads, do they? They must translate into very real, often debilitating behaviors that trap us in this self-defeating cycle, making it even harder to break free and find genuine peace. What do these behaviors look like in our daily lives?
Precisely. The internal thought patterns inevitably manifest as a range of observable, often self-sabotaging perfectionistic behaviors. One of the most common and frankly frustrating is chronic procrastination.
Wait, procrastination, that seems counterintuitive for a
It
perfectionist.
does, doesn't it? But the overwhelming pressure of needing to do something absolutely perfectly, coupled with the intense fear of not doing it right, can actually paralyze individuals.
Ah, okay, so the fear stops them.
Exactly. It makes it incredibly difficult to initiate tasks or even to complete them. The idea of imperfect action is so terrifying that inaction becomes the default, leading to missed deadlines and unmet goals. Someone might have very high standards for a clean house, visualizing this pristine magazine-worthy home.
Right.
But ironically, their house is usually quite messy because they are so overwhelmed by the sheer, insurmountable idea of doing it perfectly that they never even start cleaning. The perfect truly becomes the enemy of the good, or even the started.
That makes so much sense now. What else?
Another common behavior is being overly cautious and excessively thorough in tasks. This could be someone spending, say, 3 hours on a task that most others would complete efficiently in maybe 20 minutes, meticulously rechecking, refining, polishing far beyond what's necessary or even productive.
Overkill, basically.
Total overkill. This extends to excessive checking, like spending 30 minutes meticulously looking over a brief 2-sentence email to a boss for possible spelling mistakes, rereading it 10 times.
30 minutes for an email.
Wow.
This
Or constantly trying to improve things by redoing them multiple times to achieve some elusive perfect state, like rewriting a Word document repeatedly, even when it's already perfectly acceptable.
the endless tweaking loop.
Exactly. You might also find yourself agonizing over minor details, even trivial decisions, to the point of complete decision paralysis. Think about spending half an hour stressing over what movie to rent on a Friday night or what to order from a restaurant menu because you feel you have to make the perfect choice.
Oh, I've done that with menus.
Right, or you might create excessively elaborate to-do lists for even most mundane daily activities, with precise times for waking up, brushing teeth, showering, every moment rigidly structured, leaving absolutely no room for spontaneity or human flexibility.
Living life by a spreadsheet.
Pretty much. And a particularly self-limiting and pervasive behavior is actively avoiding trying new things or taking risks due to an intense, paralyzing fear of making mistakes, of failing, or of appearing anything less than perfectly competent.
So it holds you back from growth.
Absolutely. It can prevent personal growth, stifle creativity, and close off countless opportunities. All of these deeply ingrained patterns significantly impact daily life, relationships, overall quality of living, often leading to increased anxiety, burnout, and emotional paralysis rather than genuine achievement or a sense of fulfillment. It's truly a life lived in a self-imposed cage of impossible standards.
It's becoming clear that perfectionism is far from a single, simple trait, isn't it?
Not at all.
It's complex, multifaceted. You mentioned academic frameworks help understand its nuances.
Yes, they're invaluable. They highlight that it's more a combination of distinct characteristics that show up differently for different people. One crucial tool is the Frost Multidimensional Perfectionism Scale, or FMPS, developed back in 1990.
Okay.
It views perfectionism as this mix of unrealistically high expectations, coupled with overly critical self-evaluations. It breaks it down into 6 dimensions, offering a really comprehensive way to assess how individuals embody this relentless pressure.
6 dimensions. Okay, let's hear them.
Right. And as we go through them, you might find yourself nodding along, recognizing these patterns, maybe seeing which ones resonate most powerfully for you.
Okay.
First, there's that almost crippling worry about getting things wrong, even minor details, and excessive concern over making mistakes. This is the person double-checking everything, panicking over a typo.
Got it. Number 2.
Second, there are your own internal pressures, the very high bar you set for yourself, what we call high personal standards. This is that inner drive to achieve. But when it's linked to perfectionism, it becomes rigid and unforgiving.
Makes sense.
Third and fourth relate to early life experiences.
Yeah.
The perception of high parental expectations during your upbringing, meaning you felt your parents expected flawless performance.
Oh, the childhood roots.
Exactly. And closely linked, the perception of high parental criticism during childhood, where you felt frequently judged or harshly corrected for imperfections.
Mm.
These early influences can deeply ingrain the belief that imperfection is just unacceptable.
Wow, okay. What's fifth?
Fifth, there's doubting the quality of one's actions, which constantly leads to profound self-doubt. You finish something, but then you obsessively second-guess every decision, every word, convinced it's not quite good enough, replaying it endlessly.
That sounds exhausting.
Ah.
And the last one?
And finally, sixth, there's a strong, almost obsessive preference for order and organization, needing everything in its place, meticulously structured, feeling immense discomfort if things are chaotic or unplanned.
As you hear these distinct dimensions, I really encourage you listening to think about where you might fall on this spectrum. Do some resonate more powerfully for you than others? Maybe you're high on personal standards, but less so on the parental criticism bit. It really highlights how individual this experience can be. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all burden.
That's a truly important point. To give you a concrete example, the source author, Melissa Lewis-Duarte, who openly shared her own journey, she describes scoring high on her personal standards, acknowledging that internal drive. She also resonated strongly with the perception of parental expectations and a very strong preference for order, admitting, kind of amusingly, that her preference for order can be distracting and really annoying.
Ah, I bet.
Just ask her husband, Andrew, about her perfectly organized pantry. But interestingly, she scored lower on excessive concern over mistakes or doubting her actions. This vividly illustrates how unique each person's battle can be, even within the same framework. It's a blend.
Unique cocktail of pressure.
Exactly. And around the same time, another significant model emerged, the multidimensional perfectionism scale, or MPS. Similar name, but a slightly different lens.
Okay, how's this one different?
It introduces 3 distinct dimensions that help us distinguish the direction of perfectionistic tendencies, basically,
Right.
where that intense pressure is pointed.
Interesting. Okay, what are they?
First, there's self-oriented perfectionism. This is maybe the most commonly recognized form. It's where you apply those impossibly high standards and expectations directly, relentlessly to yourself, that harsh inner critic demanding more, better, faster.
Right, beating yourself up.
Precisely. Second, there's other-oriented perfectionism. Here, the perfectionistic lens is turned outward. You judge and hold others, colleagues, partners, kids, even strangers, to similarly high, often unrealistic levels of perfection.
Ooh, that sounds tough on relationships.
It really can be. It might manifest as an inability to delegate, constant criticism of others' work, or immense frustration when people don't meet your unstated, rigid expectations. It often strains relationships, fosters fear.
Yeah, I can see that. And the third?
And third, often the most subtle and pervasive, is socially prescribed perfectionism. This is the assumption or deep-seated belief that others, significant figures like parents or bosses, or even society at large, hold extremely high expectations of you.
So it's feeling pressured by what you think others expect.
Exactly. You internalize this perceived external pressure, feeling this immense, suffocating need to meet those perceived demands, even if they're unspoken or totally unrealistic. This can be particularly debilitating because the pressure isn't even truly from within, but from an imagined external judgment.
Wow. This MPS model raises an even more important question for anyone listening. When you reflect on your own high standards, where do they truly originate? Is it like an intrinsic internal drive, a deep personal desire to excel from a healthy place? Or is it an overwhelming, often suffocating external pressure you've internalized, maybe from people around you, parents, work culture, or even just those pervasive societal messages about what it means to be successful or a good parent or look a certain way?
Yeah.
Understanding that origin feels like a crucial distinction because it must inform how you might begin to dismantle that pressure.
It truly is. The source author, for instance, primarily experiences self-oriented perfectionism, often to her own detriment, leading to harsh self-criticism. She openly acknowledges that when these self-imposed expectations become impossible, she's overly harsh with herself, trapped in that negative internal monologue.
Right.
But the insidious impact of socially prescribed ideals is equally, if not more, profound and widespread. Think about the societal image of a perfect parent.
Oh, yeah, that one's huge.
Right. Effortlessly balancing a demanding career, nurturing emotionally intelligent kids, spotless home, self-care, vibrant social life. It's impossible.
Completely.
Or consider the unrealistic body image standards constantly reinforced through media, social channels. These aren't just external pressures anymore. They become deeply ingrained, damaging internal dialogues, fueling that relentless should voice, even when these ideals are widely unattainable and inherently unhealthy for most people.
So we absorb them and turn them on ourselves.
Exactly. The pressure isn't just internal. It's often a direct reflection of external forces and cultural narratives we've unconsciously absorbed and then turned inward. It's a heavy, heavy mantle to bear.
And when you connect these high levels, particularly the socially prescribed and self-oriented ones, to real-world consequences, what do we see?
We see truly severe outcomes. One striking example is parental burnout. Research consistently shows that mothers, for instance, are significantly more likely than fathers to report both socially prescribed and self-oriented perfectionism.
Really? More likely.
Significantly more likely, and this makes them significantly more prone to experiencing burnout, that state of chronic physical and emotional exhaustion, feeling detached, ineffective in their parental role. It's a heavy load to carry, often silently, impacting not just the parent, but the entire family dynamic.
So it seems like perfectionism isn't just about feeling a bit stressed or self-conscious, something that's merely uncomfortable. It clearly has real, tangible, and often severe mental health consequences, doesn't it? It can truly undermine your entire well-being, poisoning your sense of self from the inside out.
It absolutely can, and the consequences extend far beyond just feeling stressed. Beyond parental burnout, there's a well-established, well-researched correlation between certain dimensions of perfectionism and chronic procrastination.
There it is again, the procrastination link.
Yep. The sheer fear of not being perfect, of failing to meet an impossible standard, can paralyze action entirely. The internal bar is so high that inaction feels safer than flawed action.
Okay, but it goes deeper than that, right?
Much, much deeper. Certain dimensions of perfectionism are directly and strongly correlated with a wide range of serious psychopathological symptoms. We're talking clinical diagnoses, major depressive disorder, various anxiety disorders like generalized anxiety and social anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD,
Wow.
eating disorders like anorexia and bulimia, deliberate self-harm, and even frighteningly suicidal ideation and just general pervasive psychological distress.
This is serious stuff.
This is serious stuff. It isn't just a personality quirk that makes you a little more detail-oriented. It's a deep-seated pattern of thought and behavior that can truly poison the mind and lead to a devastating cascade of serious mental health issues, often requiring professional intervention. The costs are immense.
So what does this all mean for us then? Is all perfectionism inherently bad? Or is there maybe a more nuanced understanding, perhaps something else at play that truly sabotages us, something distinct from the intrinsic drive for high standards itself?
Right.
Because if striving for excellence is natural and healthy, then there must be a point where it tips into something destructive. What is that?
That's a crucial, truly insightful question, and it leads us to a fascinating and profound concept.
Yeah.
Self-criticism as a separate yet often deeply intertwined element.
Okay, self-criticism specifically.
Yes. Here is what groundbreaking research has found, and it's a real aha moment for many. When someone heavily engages in relentless self-criticism, their progress on goals is significantly hindered. Even if their underlying self-oriented perfectionism, that personal drive for high standards is also quite high.
So the criticism cancels out the drive.
It's like having one foot on the gas and one firmly on the brake. Constantly. You're trying to move forward, but also holding yourself back.
Wow, okay.
But here's the truly powerful kicker. If self-criticism is effectively removed from the equation, if you can quiet that harsh inner voice,
Yeah.
then surprisingly, self-oriented perfectionism, that drive, can actually positively correlate with goal attainment.
Really? So high standards without the self-attack can work.
It can be incredibly productive.
Yeah,
This offers a profound insight. The desire to improve doesn't have to originate from a place of self-loathing or perceived inadequacy. As James Clear, the author, wisely put it, it can come from a healthy, intrinsic, even joyful drive for growth and mastery.
Right.
The issue isn't always the high standard itself, but the brutal, counterproductive way we talk to ourselves when we inevitably don't meet it perfectly. It's the internal punishment, not the aspiration, that truly sabotages us.
So as you reflect on your own journey, your own internal landscape, maybe consider this. What truly motivates your standards and expectations? Is it a form of self-loathing, a harsh, unyielding inner critic constantly tearing you down, making you ruminate and second-guess every decision?
Mm.
Or is it a genuine, caring desire for self-help, for authentic improvement, for healthy growth? And maybe most importantly, when you catch yourself in a perfectionistic thought, when that inner critic starts its barrage, how would you talk to a close friend in that exact situation?
That's such a powerful question.
Would you be as harsh, as unforgiving, as dismissive of their efforts as you are on yourself? Because if the honest answer is no, then you're likely being overly critical, and that, as we've just heard, is not only unhelpful, but deeply damaging.
Building on that vital distinction between the healthy drive and the toxic self-criticism, researchers have further elaborated on two widely accepted, broad categories of perfectionism. This offers a more balanced and nuanced view.
Okay, what are they?
First, we have perfectionistic strivings. This is often seen as the positive or adaptive side, although, as we'll discuss, it still carries some risk.
Okay, the good kind, potentially.
Potentially. It involves setting genuinely high personal standards for oneself and actively striving for excellence and accomplishment. It's associated with genuinely positive traits: conscientiousness, strong work habits, an achievement-oriented mindset, a sincere desire for growth, learning, challenge. Research actually shows it can be a powerful driver of academic achievement and success.
Right, and the other side.
Then there are perfectionistic concerns. This is unequivocally the negative or maladaptive side of the
The
spectrum.
bad kind.
Definitely. This encompasses a cluster of debilitating characteristics: constantly doubting your own actions, harboring excessive, paralyzing concerns about making mistakes, exhibiting marked neuroticism, low agreeableness, low extroversion, actively avoiding challenges due to intense fear of failure, dreading any form of perceived failure, and developing persistently low self-esteem.
And the research?
The research is crystal clear here. These perfectionistic concerns significantly hinder academic achievement, undermine motivation, and profoundly negatively impact overall well-being in all aspects of life, from students to professional athletes. It's the side of perfectionism that truly cripples rather than elevates.
What's truly fascinating here, though, and perhaps a bit unsettling, is that even what we've just called the good side, these perfectionistic strivings can actually have a hidden, darker edge, can't they?
Mm-hmm.
It's not as simple as neatly categorizing them as solely good or bad perfectionism. There seems to be a subtle tightrope walk, even with the positive aspects.
You're absolutely right to point that out. It's a crucial nuance. While perfectionistic strivings lean positive and are generally far less problematic than perfectionistic concerns,
Right.
research consistently indicates that even these strivings can be associated with various forms of psychopathology. This suggests it's not entirely black and white, there's a spectrum. Even healthy drives, pushed to extremes or coupled with underlying anxieties, can contribute to mental health challenges.
So even the good kind isn't entirely risk-free.
Not entirely. For athletes, for example, their intense strivings for perfect performance, while potentially linked to elite achievement, can also have both positive and negative effects on their motivation, their enjoyment of the sport, their overall well-being. It's a really nuanced interplay, and the line between healthy aspiration and unhealthy obsession can become dangerously blurred.
And what about broader trends? Is this getting better or worse?
Well, if we look at the broader societal trend, it's actually quite alarming. It suggests the struggle with perfectionism isn't diminishing, but actively growing.
Growing.
Yes. A comprehensive study spanning nearly 3 decades, from 1989 to 2016, across multiple Western countries, US, Canada, UK, revealed a significant, sustained increase in all 3 dimensions of perfectionism we talked about earlier: self-oriented, other-oriented, and socially prescribed, specifically among college students.
All three are increasing.
All 3.
Right.
And this isn't just a slight uptick, it's a profound cultural shift. The most striking increase was observed in students' perception that others were more demanding of them, that pervasive socially prescribed perfectionism.
Wow. So we feel more pressured by others.
Exactly. That was followed by an increase in being more demanding of others and then being more demanding of themselves. This signifies that perfectionism is not only complicated and multifaceted, an individual burden, but it is also a rapidly growing societal burden.
We're becoming a more perfectionistic society.
It certainly seems that way. We are collectively becoming more entrenched in this relentless, often unrealistic pursuit of flawlessness, and it's taking a significant, measurable toll on the mental health and well-being of, frankly, an entire generation. It's a cultural phenomenon that really demands our attention.
Okay, If perfectionism can be such an incredibly heavy load, silently burdening us, and so detrimental to our mental well being, even leading to severe psychopathology, then what is the true pathway to freedom? What's the antidote to this constant striving, this relentless self criticism, this feeling of never being enough? What's the secret to finding inner peace amidst a world that often seems to demand flawlessness?
The fundamental cornerstone, the pathway to that true, liberating freedom, is what we call self-acceptance.
Self acceptance.
To define it precisely, self-acceptance means completely, unequivocally accepting yourself, including all your inherent strengths, your acknowledged weaknesses, your perceived flaws, and your genuine human limits without judgment. And this acceptance, critically, must be unconditional.
Unconditional. Meaning what exactly?
Meaning, it's not about accepting yourself if you achieve X, Y, or Z, or when you fix this or that flaw. It's about accepting yourself simply because you exist right now, as you are.
How is that different from, say, self esteem?
Ah, that's a truly crucial distinction. Self-esteem, while valuable, often fluctuates wildly. It goes up and down based on external achievements, social comparisons, external validation.
Right, like getting a promotion or getting likes online.
Exactly. Self-esteem is often about how valuable you feel based on what you do or how others perceive you. Self-acceptance, in stark contrast, is a stable, unshakable foundation because it recognizes your inherent unchanging worth simply because you are alive, because you exist, not because of what you do or don't do, what you accomplish or fail at.
Okay, that feels deeper, more stable.
It is. Think of it with this powerful analogy, one that often brings clarity. Picture yourself as a crate, a big container filled with thousands of oranges.
Okay, got it. Crate of oranges.
Some of these oranges are perfectly ripe, bright, delicious, representing your achievements, your virtues, your successes. But others might be bruised, slightly discolored, maybe even rotten, symbolizing your mistakes, your perceived flaws, your shortcomings.
We all have some bruised oranges.
We all do. Self-acceptance means you can look at those damaged oranges, acknowledge them for what they are, without writing off the entire crate, without concluding that the entire crate, which is you, is worthless, or fundamentally flawed, or beyond repair. You see the imperfections without invalidating your inherent worth as a whole. It's about unconditional regard for your entire being, bruises and all.
So, if I'm hearing you correctly, it's not about loving every single flaw or being happy about your imperfections or celebrating your shortcomings necessarily.
No, not necessarily.
It's fundamentally about acknowledging and accepting that they exist, that they are simply a part of your whole, complex, ever-evolving self. It sounds like a truly profound and liberating shift from how many of us have been taught to think.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging reality without attaching a value judgment to your inherent being. You don't have to like every aspect of yourself, but you accept that it is.
Yeah.
And this unconditional self-acceptance creates immense psychological freedom
How so?
because your inherent value, your deep worth, exists right now in this very moment. It doesn't need to be earned. It doesn't wait for you to achieve something impressive or flawlessly execute a task or receive external praise. It connects you to your deepest energy and soul, transcending superficial stuff like appearance, possessions, or social standing. It's an anchoring in your core identity.
Okay, but what about improvement? Does accepting flaws mean you just stop trying?
That's the big myth. That's the fear that keeps people stuck. That self-acceptance means stopping personal growth, becoming lazy, complacent, or letting yourself go.
Right, the fear of complacency.
It couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, self-acceptance provides the essential psychological safety and the strong, stable foundation needed for real, authentic, and sustainable growth to happen naturally and even joyfully. As one expert beautifully puts it, lasting change is far more likely to happen and persist in a climate of love and understanding towards oneself, rather than in an environment of harsh criticism and self-loathing.
So acceptance enables growth, it doesn't prevent it.
Precisely. It's not the end of positive change, it's the beginning of genuine, lasting transformation rooted in compassion.
That's a huge reframe.
It is, and a vital part of cultivating this deep self-acceptance is learning to effectively separate yourself from your behavior.
Okay, tell me more about that.
This is a powerful cognitive reframe. The core principle is people are not their behaviors. Your actions, your choices, your performance, these can be objectively assessed, critically evaluated, or even just observed without judging your fundamental worth as a person.
So you can judge the action, not the person.
Exactly. Your inherent value isn't tied to your performance. For instance, someone going through a difficult divorce might say, I failed in that marriage, I made mistakes with him, but that doesn't make me a failure as a person. This separation allows for honest self-assessment, learning from mistakes, striving for improvement, all while profoundly protecting your core self-worth. You could say, I made a mistake, without concluding, I am a mistake.
That distinction feels incredibly important.
It's critical. Now, when it comes to the proven, powerful antidote to toxic perfectionism, the missing link that brings all this together, it's undeniably self-compassion.
Self-compassion, we hear that term a lot. What does it really mean in this context?
It's not self-pity or self-indulgence. It means actively knowing how to be kind, understanding, and genuinely helpful to yourself when things inevitably go wrong, when you feel down, when you notice your own shortcomings, or when you face pain.
Like how you treat a friend.
Exactly like that. It's not about letting yourself off the hook for poor behavior, but about treating yourself with the same warmth, empathy, and wisdom you'd instinctively offer to a truly cherished friend in their moment of struggle.
And the research backs this up.
Oh, compellingly. Studies consistently show that individuals who score higher in maladaptive, toxic forms of perfectionism also consistently exhibit significantly lower levels of self-compassion. Makes sense, right? The inner critic leaves little room for kindness.
Yeah, totally.
Conversely, the good news is that as self-compassion increases, both perfectionism and general psychological distress tend to dramatically decrease.
Wow.
Even more synergistically, self-oriented perfectionism that drive for high standards when combined with a healthy, robust dose of self-compassion actually leads to higher life satisfaction scores. It's finding that balance between striving and self-kindness.
So striving plus self-compassion is the sweet spot.
It seems to be. And the practice of mindfulness, when cultivated alongside self-compassion, also plays a critical synergistic role. It significantly reduces vulnerability to anxious and depressive symptoms, particularly in self-critical perfectionists.
Okay.
Studies have powerfully demonstrated self-compassion's ability to moderate the link between perfectionism and depression, meaning perfectionism is far less likely to lead to depression if self-compassion is a strong, consistent presence.
That's huge.
It is. We've even seen studies where targeted interventions like mindfulness practices, yoga, breathwork have directly led to increased self-compassion and decreased maladaptive perfectionism in students. Nursing students, too, showed significant increases in self-compassion as their perfectionism decreased. The evidence is consistent, compelling, and points to a clear path forward.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it sounds like this isn't just a cognitive shift. It's truly about learning to silence that relentless inner mean girl or that harsh critic that so many of us carry around sometimes for decades, and actively replacing that damaging voice with one of warmth, understanding, and unconditional support. It feels like a profound internal reparenting, offering yourself the compassion you might have missed or denied yourself for so long.
It is, profoundly so. Self-compassion means accepting our imperfections or perceived failings without being overly critical or punitive. It means recognizing our own shortcomings, our moments of struggle, our inherent humanness, not as a sign of personal failing, but as a normal and universally shared part of the human experience.
We all mess up.
Every single person makes mistakes, experiences setbacks, has flaws. Self-compassion also involves holding our perfectionistic expectations, those relentless shoulds, in mindful awareness, observing them without judgment, understanding their source, gently letting go of their rigid grip. Fundamentally, it's about talking to yourself in your thoughts and words, exactly like you would talk to a truly cherished friend who is struggling. Not like an enemy who constantly judges, punishes, and demands the impossible. It's extending the kindness, patience, and understanding we so readily offer to others. Finally, profoundly and consistently, inward to ourselves. This is where true freedom really begins.
Self-acceptance and self-compassion sound not just wonderful in theory, but deeply, vitally necessary for our well-being. But putting these profound concepts into consistent daily practice is often where the real challenge lies, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's the work.
The mind is a creature of habit, and those old perfectionistic patterns are deeply grooved. What are some of the biggest, most common hurdles, the things that trip people up on this liberating journey, even when they intellectually understand its importance?
You've hit on a crucial point. Understanding is one thing, embodying is another. One of the most significant, relentless obstacles is our ingrained negative self-talk and the pervasive inner critic.
That voice.
That voice. Our harshest, most relentless critic often lives not outside us, but inside our own mind. A constant, insidious voice, ready to judge, diminish, erode our sense of inherent worth. And this inner voice speaks to us in ways we would never dare speak to others, not even our worst enemies.
So true.
It can manifest in varied, often deceptive ways. Sometimes sounding deceptively reasonable, like, I'm not good at this, so I should just avoid it entirely. Self-preservation disguised as wisdom.
Right.
Other times it's just plain mean and brutal. I can never do anything right. I always mess up. Or it can sound utterly hopeless. I don't deserve to be happy or successful. I'm just not worthy. Or simply defeated. That looks really hard. I'd never be able to do it perfectly, so why bother trying?
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
And this negative self-talk doesn't just annoy us. It profoundly distorts our reality, creating a warped self-perception. People who engage in it frequently experience higher stress, significantly less confidence, worsened symptoms of depression when unchecked, and even difficult, strained relationships because that internal criticism often leaks out.
How we treat ourselves affects how we treat others.
Absolutely. It's important to remember this is common, almost universal. Our complex minds, wired for survival, tend to hyper-focus on negatives, triggering our fight-or-flight response as if faced with a real threat, even when it's just a thought.
Okay, so the inner critic is huge. What else gets in the way?
Another huge, often invisible barrier is the relentless pressure of social comparison and the hunger for external validation. As humans, we naturally measure ourselves against others. It's an evolutionary impulse. Social comparison theory clearly shows we often compare ourselves upward to those we perceive as better off.
Right, comparing our worst to their best.
Exactly. And this upward comparison severely hurts self-esteem. Social media, in particular, has created a perfect storm against self-acceptance. Face-to-face comparisons are limited, but online, it offers endless, curated opportunities to compare our messy, normal lives to others' carefully constructed highlight reels.
Yeah, the endless scroll of inadequacy.
It can feel like that. Every scroll is an invitation to feel less than. This leads to an unhealthy dependency on external approval, likes, comments, followers, validation, rather than cultivating internal self-acceptance, building that stable, intrinsic sense of worth.
Okay, inner critic, social comparison. What's the third big barrier?
And finally, a very common and often insidious barrier, one that keeps many trapped, is the fear of complacency.
Ah, yes, we touched on this. The idea that accepting yourself means you'll just give up.
Exactly. This is arguably the biggest myth about self-acceptance. The deep-seated belief that if you truly accept yourself, flaws and all, you'll instantly become lazy, unmotivated, complacent, or simply let yourself go.
Why do we believe that?
Many people cling to self-criticism precisely because they believe it's the only way, the necessary way, to push themselves, to improve, to achieve, to be better. They think being tough on themselves is the only path to growth.
But that's not true, right?
Reality, as we've explored, works profoundly differently. Self-acceptance is not the end of striving. It is the beginning of authentic, lasting change. It fosters growth, not from fear or harsh judgment, but from a place of deep, empowering self-love and understanding. It provides the psychological safety needed for real, sustainable improvement. Without that foundation, the striving often leads to burnout and breakdown, not true flourishing.
Okay, so we've identified the barriers,
Yeah.
the inner critic, social comparison, fear of complacency. Now for the good stuff. What are the concrete, actionable strategies, the tools to cultivate self-acceptance and combat perfectionism?
Right, let's pivot to the practical tools and mindset shifts. These are designed to gently but effectively rewire those old patterns. We'll start with cognitive shifts, then move to more behavioral and embodied practices.
Okay, changing our thinking first.
First, under changing perfectionistic thinking, we have realistic thinking. This is about actively, consciously challenging and replacing those harsh, self-critical or perfectionistic thoughts with statements grounded in reality, kindness, and self-compassion.
Give me an example.
Okay, so instead of the rigid, self-defeating thought, I must be perfect at all times or I am worthless, try replacing it with the liberating truth. Nobody is perfect. I am human. That means I am inherently imperfect, and that is okay.
That feels better already.
Or instead of, I have to do everything myself impeccably, shift to, all I can do is my best, and my best will vary day to day, and that's perfectly acceptable.
Right.
When you make a mistake, instead of the inner voice screaming, I'm a total failure, consciously reframe it. Making a mistake does not mean I'm stupid or a failure. It only means I am like everyone else human. Everyone makes mistakes. There are opportunities for learning, not condemnation.
Learning, not condemnation. I like that.
You can also tell yourself, it's okay not to be pleasant all the time. It's okay to have a bad day or feel frustrated. Everyone experiences a full range of emotions. Or, for those struggling with external validation, it's okay if some people don't like me. No one is liked by everyone, and my worth isn't determined by universal approval.
So practical. Any tips for making this stick?
Yes. A very practical pro tip from the sources is to write these realistic, compassionate statements on small cue cards. Carry them with you. When you catch yourself in a negative thought spiral, pull out a card, read the counter statement aloud or silently. Repeated practice helps literally rewire your brain, reinforcing these new, healthier thought patterns.
Cue cards. Simple, effective. Okay, what's next?
Next up is perspective taking. Perfectionists often get trapped in their own subjective critical lens. This strategy actively encourages you to challenge unhelpful beliefs by stepping outside your own head.
How do you do that?
Ask yourself, how might a close, supportive friend view this exact situation if they were going through it? Or even more powerfully, what might I tell a close friend who was having these exact same self-critical thoughts about themselves?
Ah, the friend test.
Exactly.
Okay.
For example, if you finish a workout feeling guilty because you exercised for only 1 hour instead of your planned 2, and that inner critic calls you lazy, how would you talk to a friend who did the same? You'd likely reassure them, right? Tell them 1 hour is great. Applaud their effort. This helps apply external kindness and rationality to your internal world.
That makes total sense. Applying the kindness we give others to ourselves. What else?
Then there's looking at the big picture. This is a powerful grounding strategy to combat getting bogged down in those minor details, which is a hallmark of perfectionism.
Okay, how does this one work?
When you find yourself obsessing over a tiny flaw, worrying about a seemingly insignificant detail, guide yourself to pause and ask these questions. Does it really matter in the grand scheme of things?
Right.
What is the absolute worst that could happen if this isn't perfect? And if the worst does happen, truly, can I survive it? Will I be okay? And perhaps most powerfully, especially for those minor obsessions, will this still matter tomorrow? How about next week? Next year?
Pulling back the lens.
Exactly. It helps you realize the utter insignificance of many catastrophic minor details that perfectionism makes monumental, like agonizing over which font to use in a casual email, when the content is what truly matters. It pulls you out of that stressful tunnel vision.
Okay, good one. And you mentioned compromising.
Yes, compromising, a really helpful tool for dealing with that rigid black and white thinking. This doesn't mean abandoning all standards. It means gradually lowering or being more flexible with your very high, often unrealistic standards, finding that healthy middle ground.
So, practical example.
Okay, say you typically spend 5 hours prepping for a presentation, meticulously crafting every word. Try deliberately spending only 3 hours next time. See what happens. Notice if the outcome is truly disastrous, or if it's perfectly acceptable, maybe even better because you're less stressed.
Testing the waters.
Exactly. Or, if you believe you can never make a mistake, start by allowing yourself one minor non-critical mistake during 1 out of every 5 presentations, deliberately. Then maybe increase that tolerance to 1 out of 2. The goal isn't no standards or becoming sloppy. It's establishing realistic standards that help you do your best sustainably without costing you your health, your family time, your joy.
Finding freedom within competence. I like that. Okay, so those are thinking strategies. What about changing the behaviors?
Right. Now let's talk about actively changing perfectionistic behaviors through a powerful technique called exposure practice.
Exposure, like facing your fears.
Exactly like that. Think of it metaphorically. Having a problem with perfectionism, especially that fear of mistakes or being seen as imperfect, is a lot like having a phobia of those things.
Okay.
And the most effective, evidence-based way to overcome phobias is through gradual, consistent exposure to the feared object or situation. Safely, intentionally, repeatedly confronting the fear in small doses until your anxiety naturally decreases through habituation.
So deliberately making small mistakes.
Pretty much. The core idea is to gradually and purposely make small mistakes and consciously come across as imperfect in controlled situations. Then observe what actually happens versus what your perfectionistic mind predicts will happen.
Okay, give me some examples. This sounds scary but intriguing.
It can feel scary at first, but start small. Try showing up for a non-critical appointment 5 to 15 minutes late. Just feel what that feels like.
Yeah.
Or wear a piece of clothing with a visible minor stain, like a small coffee spot out in public.
Oh, wow, okay.
Send an email that purposely includes a few very minor spelling mistakes to a trusted colleague. Or maybe get an attachment and have to send a follow-up. Leave a visible area in your house, little messy papers on the counter. Resist the urge to immediately tidy it.
Resisting the urge, that's key.
Yes. Tell people when you are genuinely tired, or express other feelings you might consider weaknesses, like nervousness or uncertainty. Purposely allow several uncomfortable silences in a conversation with a coworker instead of rushing to fill the void.
Ooh, the silence one is hard.
It can be. Purposely be a few cents short for bus fare and see how the driver reacts. During a presentation, deliberately lose your train of thought for a moment, then recover. Try a new restaurant without researching it first.
Just winging it.
Exactly. And in addition to these active exposures, you should also actively stop excessive perfectionistic behaviors you already do. Limit checking documents to once. Reduce that 2-hour prep for a 15-minute presentation to 30 minutes.
So doing less of the old behaviors too.
Yes, remember, repeated and frequent practice is key. Anxiety might not drop immediately. The first few times might feel very uncomfortable. But consistency and persistence are far more important than immediate comfort. Over time, your brain learns these imperfections are not catastrophic and the anxiety diminishes.
Okay, exposure practice. Makes sense. What about more internal foundational practices?
Absolutely. Mindfulness and relaxed awareness are foundational to cultivating self-acceptance. Mindfulness teaches us to observe our thoughts, feelings, bodily sensations as they arise, simply as they are, without judgment, without needing to fix them or push them away.
Just observing.
Just observing. In Buddhist tradition, there's a beautiful concept called maitri, meaning loving kindness or unconditional friendliness toward oneself. It's about working with yourself, not constantly on yourself as a problem to be solved.
This sounds incredibly freeing. It's like creating a mental and emotional space, a quiet sanctuary, where you can step back from the constant mental chatter and just observe your thoughts, your inner critic's pronouncements, rather than being immediately consumed by them, identifying with them.
Precisely. This gentle, non-judgmental awareness creates vital, liberating space between you and your thoughts. You begin to realize that your thoughts, even the harsh, perfectionistic ones, don't define who you are. They're just mental events that arise and pass.
Like clouds in the sky.
Exactly. That crucial separation actively breaks the self-judgment cycle. When you can observe, oh, there's that thought telling me I'm not good enough, rather than believing I am not good enough, everything begins to shift.
Powerful. What else can we actively do?
Another truly powerful strategy is actively cultivating positive self-talk and affirmations. This is about consciously, deliberately changing that ingrained negative self-talk, effectively counteracting the inner critic, and replacing harsh judgments with supportive, constructive, empowering messages.
Does this actually work? It sometimes feels a bit cheesy.
It can feel that way at first, but it's not just wishful thinking. Studies consistently show numerous profound benefits. Greater life satisfaction, lower risk of heart disease, less pain, even longer lives. It literally rewires your brain through neuroplasticity, strengthening new neural pathways of self-kindness.
Okay, I'm sold. How do we practice it?
Try integrating affirmations into your daily routine. Phrases like, I accept myself as I am in this moment, completely and unconditionally. Or, I accept and appreciate my body for all the things it lets me do, for its strength and resilience, flaws and all. Or a powerful one, I am worthy of love, exactly as I am, flaws and all.
Where or when should we do this?
You can say them aloud while looking directly into your eyes in a mirror work, popularized by Louise Hay. It's powerful. Start with 2 to 5 minutes daily in private. Begin gently. Hi, or I love you. Then maybe progress to I am enough, or I choose to be happy and love myself. Write them on sticky notes around your home or office. Incorporate them into meditation. Consistency is key.
Okay, affirmations. What about boundaries? How do they fit in?
While not immediately obvious, setting healthy boundaries is deeply, intimately connected to self-acceptance. They are profoundly powerful acts of self-love and self-respect that directly reinforce your inherent worth.
How so?
Think of boundaries not as walls, but as a protective shield you create. Guarding against toxic relationships, overwhelming demands, situations that erode self-acceptance and drain your energy. They help you prioritize your needs, maintain emotional balance, protect your time, prevent burnout.
Okay, so how do we set them effectively?
Key steps. Be clear and direct without raising your voice or being aggressive. State what you do want or need rather than what you don't want. So instead of don't dump your work on me, try I need to focus on my own tasks so I won't be able to take on that extra project this week.
Clear and direct.
Yes. And crucially, be prepared to consciously accept any uncomfortable feelings like guilt or shame that might arise when you start asserting your needs. These feelings are normal, especially if you're new to it, but don't let them deter you from protecting your well-being and affirming your self-worth. It's recognizing you are worthy of respect.
That takes courage. Okay, one more strategy.
And finally, arguably the most powerful transformative strategy, particularly if past mistakes or perceived failures haunt you, is practicing self-forgiveness.
Forgiving ourselves. That sounds hard.
It can be, but it's a profound act of compassion, releasing the burden of past self-condemnation. Research proves it significantly boosts psychological health, life satisfaction, self-esteem, emotional stability, overall quality of life. It frees up immense mental energy trapped in shame and regret.
How do we actually do it? What are the steps?
It involves several key compassionate steps.
First?
Precisely identify the specific behaviors or shortcomings you want to forgive yourself for. Be specific. Second, look at your responsibility realistically. Don't exaggerate or minimize what was truly your part.
Okay.
Third, allow yourself to accept and feel genuine remorse for any negative impact without letting it devolve into self-judgment or attacking your character. Acknowledge the feeling. Fourth, notice related harsh thoughts and feelings without applying them to your core self. See them as thoughts, not truths about you.
Right.
Fifth, make amends if and when possible and appropriate to others or even to yourself. Sixth, make a clear recommitment to your values moving forward, learning from it. Seventh, nurture self-compassion throughout this entire process, tender, firm kindness, not tough love. And eighth, consciously, deliberately release those negative feelings toward yourself.
It's a process.
It is. Remember, self-forgiveness isn't about letting yourself off easy or condoning harmful behavior. It's about honestly acknowledging mistakes while understanding everyone makes them. It's about restoring your dignity, reaffirming your inherent worth, freeing yourself to move forward with peace.
These aren't just abstract ideas. They are tangible, actionable steps you can integrate into your daily life, transforming your relationship with yourself over time. Practices, not just concepts. So, to bring this all home, beyond these overarching strategies, what are some simple, practical, hands-on exercises our listener can truly start with today to begin embodying this profound shift?
Excellent question. Moving from theory to practice is vital. There are several hands-on exercises you can begin immediately, even in small ways.
Okay, let's hear them.
First, try the Positive You Journal. This is a powerful way to actively repattern your focus away from flaws towards your inherent strengths. Create a 2-column journal entry. 1 column. List your positive qualities: kindness, diligence, creativity, humor, resilience. Other column. Specific, concrete examples from your day or week demonstrating these traits.
So finding evidence for the good stuff.
Exactly. Every day, commit to writing down at least 3 specific actions you took that highlight your positive attributes. Mopping floors shows you're house proud. Completing a budget shows diligence. Playing with kids reveals a fun, caring side. This consistent practice actively shifts your focus, gathering tangible evidence of your positive self, countering negative self-talk.
I like that. Evidence-based positivity. Okay, next.
Second, practice mirror work and self-affirmation. Louise Hay's technique. Simple, yet profoundly effective. Look directly into your own eyes in a mirror and speak positive affirmations aloud. The reflection helps reveal your feelings about yourself, showing where resistance or openness lies.
It sounds intense but powerful.
It can be. It might feel awkward or silly at first, but stick with it. Start with just 2 to 5 minutes daily in private. Begin gently.
Hi, or I love you, spoken sincerely. As you get comfortable, progress. I am enough. Or I choose to be happy and love myself completely, right now, exactly as I am. It bypasses the critical mind, speaks directly to your subconscious.
Okay, mirror work. What else? Third is loving kindness meditation, or LKM, an ancient Buddhist practice cultivating profound compassion for yourself and others. Find a comfortable position, eyes closed, ground yourself in your breath. Then, silently or softly aloud, repeat words like these, really feeling the sentiment. May I be happy, may I be well, may I be safe, may I be kind toward my suffering. Allow yourself to absorb these wishes.
Just repeating those phrases.
Yes, and feeling them. Research consistently confirms LKM effectively reduces self-criticism, quiets the inner critic, fostering deep inner peace and acceptance.
Loving kindness meditation. Got it. One more.
And finally, a daily practice of gratitude and reflection. Simple yet profound. It actively shifts your focus from what you perceive you lack or what's imperfect to what you genuinely have and appreciate about yourself and your life.
Focusing on the good.
Yes. It significantly boosts self-acceptance and well-being. Each morning or evening, write down at least 3 things you genuinely appreciate about yourself. Maybe your resilience, sense of humor, effort that day, just your willingness to show up. Consciously celebrate small wins, notice progress, however incremental, instead of fixating solely on distant, perfect end goals. This consistent appreciation builds natural, intrinsic valuing of who you are, countering negative self-talk and the chase for external perfection.
These aren't just abstract ideas. They are tangible, actionable steps you can integrate into your daily life, transforming your relationship with yourself, shifting it from constant struggle and judgment to deep self-compassion and acceptance over time. And what's truly fascinating here, what brings all of this to life, is how these profound psychological concepts and practical exercises truly translate into tangible, life-changing results in the real world. The stories of people who have walked this path are not just inspiring, they are powerful testaments to its efficacy.
They truly are. We see these transformations in countless contexts, illustrating the universal power of self-acceptance. Consider therapy and recovery. We know of a powerful case study, a 20-year-old female college student. Her debilitating stress from academic perfectionism significantly reduced after therapy focused on self-acceptance. She learned not just to identify strengths, but to internalize that everyone makes mistakes, and hers didn't define her worth.
Wow.
Similarly, a recovering addict shared their profound shift from seeing themselves in their darkest moments as just a collection of flaws, fundamentally broken, unworthy, to someone deserving of care and understanding. This transformation was fueled by actively challenging negative beliefs through therapy and self-compassion practices. It's the lifeblood of their sustained healing.
Incredible changes. What about in relationships or work?
We see incredible changes there too. We hear reflections, like one individual who shared, "When I finally learned to accept myself deeply and truly, I became so much more authentic in all my relationships. I realized I had nothing left to hide, no perfect facade to maintain." This authenticity, born of self-acceptance, led to deeper, more genuine, fulfilling connections.
That makes sense. Less performance, more realness.
Exactly. At work, we've seen countless examples of individuals once crippled by the fear of failure or imperfection. Now, they describe seeing setbacks not as proof of inadequacy, but as invaluable opportunities to learn, adapt, grow. This new resilient outlook didn't just reduce stress, it opened doors they never imagined possible, allowing them to take risks and innovate.
So acceptance fueled their careers, ironically.
In a way, yes. And in individual personal growth journeys, we hear powerful realizations. One therapist shared their journey of accepting their own intensity and drive. Instead of fighting it or judging it as too much, they learned to accept it, understand it, manage it sustainably. Acceptance became a foundation for continuous, healthy improvement, not burnout.
Learning to work with yourself.
Precisely. Another person, overcoming perfectionism, had the powerful realization. Self-compassion can be a lot more helpful than self-criticism when it comes to actually getting stuff done. A light bulb moment, the harsh critic they thought drove them was actually holding them back. These aren't just isolated anecdotes. They are profound, real-life testaments to the transformative power of embracing self-acceptance day by day.
These stories aren't just inspiring anecdotes. They are powerful living testaments that this journey from the relentless pursuit of perfection to genuine, peaceful self-acceptance is not only possible, but the profound freedom you seek is truly, tangibly within reach. It's a journey from constant striving and self-condemnation to a liberating sense of inner peace and acceptance.
To reiterate the overarching pivotal message from this deep dive, self-acceptance isn't some static destination you miraculously arrive at perfectly one day.
Right, it's ongoing.
Instead, it is a continuous, transformative journey, a daily practice, an ongoing evolution of understanding and kindness towards yourself. It is fundamental, absolutely foundational to your enduring well-being. And again, to stress that crucial distinction, it is profoundly different from self-esteem. Self-esteem fluctuates with external achievements, comparisons.
Up and down.
While self-acceptance is stable, unconditional, deeply rooted in your inherent worth simply because you exist, because you are human. Crucially, and contrary to that pervasive, often paralyzing fear, true self-acceptance does not lead to complacency, laziness, or lack of motivation. Quite the opposite.
It enables growth?
Yes, it powerfully enables genuine growth and truly meaningful change, but from a place of inner strength, self-love, resilience, rather than fear, harsh judgment, or constant striving for an impossible ideal. Remember the core strategies, the powerful tools for navigating this journey: mindful awareness, positive self-talk, healthy boundaries, and the truly liberating act of self-forgiveness. These are your compass, your map, your inner well of strength.
So what does all of this mean for you as you move forward from this deep dive? As you navigate your days, constantly striving, sometimes burdened by that relentless inner voice whispering, "Not enough," consider this profound choice. Will you continue to judge yourself harshly, to punish yourself for every perceived imperfection, endlessly chasing an ever-elusive, flawless ideal that brings only anxiety, exhaustion, and chronic disappointment? Or will you bravely choose a different path? Will you choose to welcome who you truly are, embracing your whole, perfectly imperfect self with all your strengths, your weaknesses, your triumphs, and your genuine human flaws? The path of self acceptance doesn't just offer temporary relief from anxiety and stress, it gives you something infinitely more precious and enduring. It gives you an inner peace that stays steady, unshakable, a deep well of resilience no matter what external challenges or perceived imperfections life inevitably throws your way. That gift, that profound and liberating freedom, truly awaits anyone brave enough to look in the mirror, deep into their own eyes, and genuinely say with warmth and conviction, I accept all of me.